What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Let's Build the Enterprise A 2.0 Season 1 Episode 16. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, hit that like and subscribe button. Help me in supporting the channel. I'm so thankful for that. Today we've got about a 17-minute episode. We're going to be picking up right where we left off, working on our bridge and also the shelf that our bridge will be sitting on. So without further ado, let's kick back, relax. We're going to dive right into this thing. So we're going to be doing two things with today's episode. We're going to be trying to flesh out the transition points and filling in all of our cut lines for our shelf that the bridge is sitting on. And then we're actually going to do a new outline for the bridge and see if that new outline will look any better than what we currently have. But by the end of today's episode, I'll be able to show you guys a fantastic reference as to how I came up ultimately with a template that we're going to be using for the shelf. And this is where, like I said, I stumbled across it building the ship out in this way. And if I hadn't done it this way, I honestly don't know if I would have stumbled across it. And it came out so good, I'm probably going to be using a similar template for how I transition most of my Constitution classes going forward in this way. If not, they won't be exact, but it'll be a great template that I can use, and I don't think that I'll come up with too much that looks better than it. Yeah, like this is one of the issues that we have currently with this template, that our transition points on the sides, it's gonna be a little too janky. And that's I mean, some people might be like whatever, but for me, that's a problem, because I like, as much as I possibly can, I want clean cut lines and clean transition lines. You're not going to see too much variation from that. Like, with a small exception of maybe the very front end of the lower hull on my Excelsior 2 class, which is going to be coming up here in just the next couple of weeks. But I want to pause it right here so you guys, I can show you. So this is how I ended up stumbling upon blending these cut lines in with this. And to be honest with you, how it happened was facing this problem that I'm talking about right now. Our cut lines right here on the sides, they're not transitioning, they're not clean. No matter what I'm going to do here, there's going to be issues. Because if I add another half slab here, another half slab here, that'll be cleaner, but then it's not going to be good right there. And I just started looking at it more and more, and I'm like, well, what I should do is these rows, just transition them into this piece and just bring it all the way back. So, spoiler, that's ultimately what we're going to do, but we're not quite there yet, so don't jump the gun and just start doing it. We've got a couple of more steps before we're going to get there. So, I mean, we're going to keep this going for right now, because at this point in the tutorial, I haven't quite made that connection just yet. And to be honest, there might be some people too that want to be able to actually build this out as it currently looks, but it's vital to include all this stuff out, because I don't want to skip over this and just show you ultimately what I'm going to do, and then have people that are lost, not knowing what to do next because I ended up skipping a bunch of steps. So I know sometimes we got to spin our tires a little bit, but trust me, it's necessary when you're building custom builds like this. I very rarely get it perfect the very first go around. It takes that trial and error process, of just working the problem and trying out different things until you fall on that solution. And to be fair, this doesn't even look all that bad. It really doesn't. I've seen worse, actually. I've done worse. But I love what we end up on. I think it looks so much better than what we have right now. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to fill this whole row in with the white quartz going all the way back. All right, and you're going to fill all that in, and then we're going to come down to the next row, and we're going to fill all that in. Want to make sure you're doing both the left and right side. I added a hole directly underneath that because I want to be able to see where that opens up, so that this way I can come back later on and I can make all of this hollow, so that this way I can have access to that extra space if I need it. Now, this is something I want to talk about here. Now you can see my backbone outline for our bridge shelf. It's not quite jiving with the actual shelf, because you see that it's transitioning further down, and then on the sides here it just goes all the way back. We're going to address that, but it's important to remember that that backbone that we just added, that was more of like a loose reference, just there to get an idea. It's not going to be something that we're not going to keep that line specifically. That's going to end up going by the time it's done. But right now we are going to add one row of half slabs going above it, because I'm still trying to salvage this current template that I have in place. Because I mean, that doesn't look too bad. You could make this work. You definitely could. If you kept working it, we could make this work as it is. But one of the things that's going to mess with it is that we're really not going to have the transition point for the shelving anywhere but in the very middle. And it's just, when it's all said and done, it's just going to look like a piece that's just sitting there, and it's not really going to feel like it's all together and part of it. It's just going to look like it's there just to add that height in the very back of it, which is what it's essentially doing. But it's not the worst design. I've personally have done a lot worse than that. And now I'm just trying to add in the full blocks go along the side just to blend it in a little bit more. But then the problem that we're going to come right back to is making the sides of our bridge too thick. As remember, on a Constitution class or the refit, the bridge is not super wide. Not from the front view anyway. And to be honest, even from like a top-down view, it's not wide either. It still goes off, it's still based off of that original circle in the very middle, and then they, kind of adjust the back end of it. The front of it, the very, very front, I don't know if it would be a perfect circle. It might. But I'm kind of veering off to the side a little bit there. But point is that the siding here, I'm just trying to blend this in a little bit, but I think it's going to end up bulking it up too much right back to what we had before we transitioned it back down. So, and this is another thing that led me to land where I landed, because I don't know if you guys see that my cut line, I'm wrapping it around the bridge and I'm bringing it all the way back. And this is going to be essentially the process that we're going to use to truly blend in our bridge shelf with the top section of her saucer. And everything here right now, this doesn't look too bad. One thing I will say right now, the bridge is looking a little small. So I can completely understand at the time why I went back and I did a new outline, making it just a little bit bigger. But my concern is that I didn't want to make the bridge too big, because this is something you guys got to keep in the back of your head. When you make things bigger on these things, it doesn't make your ship look bigger. It can make it look out of proportion if it's not supposed to be that size in relation to the rest of it. So you have to be careful there to keep everything lining up with one another. And the easiest way to do this is that if you want to proportion your bridge, you start off with comparing it to the shelf right here, the size of it. Then comparing the bridge size to the saucer. How do they look against one another? And then you compare that to your reference material. So this is a very easy way that you can proportion out your ships without too much of effort. So we're going to come back now and we're going to do a new outline for the bridge. And I've gone out 2 rows. Don't know if I should have used the full blocks. Should have maybe have gone half slabs. Because I think I talked about this in the tour episode. Ultimately, what I end up doing is that I reference the bridge that I did for the Disco Era Enterprise, and I used that as a template to help get the outside of the bridge looking how it ended up ultimately looking in the tour episode. And you can see what I'm doing there. I'm matching up my cut lines, the rest of the hull, making sure everything lines up. So that last row, we're going to bring it all the way back to that back end of the gray circle, but we're not going to cover it. We're going to stop 1 block shy of going over it. Well, I don't know if you guys can notice this right now too, is that I'm referencing the outline of that first shelf that the bridge is sitting on at this point to help me out. Not a bad method. Got to work smarter, not harder. Especially in this case, I want the sides of my bridge to at this point in the build anyway, I want to try to transition it the same angle that the shelf is on. So that's why I'm referencing that, to use that same template so that this way everything matches up. And then we'll go back and see how it looks. That's not looking too bad. Once we get this full outline in place, I'll end up critiquing it and going through that process I was telling you guys about, comparing it to my reference material, comparing the size of my bridge to the size of the shelving, to the size of the saucer. You can compare it to the rest of the ship too, and then compare it to your reference material. This is how you proportion these things out. So now I'm going in and down 1 with the cut line. Now that's going to pose another problem, is the way that it's bleeding inward with that backbone. I mean, the line work on the sides, that's looking good. That's not looking too bad. Also had a little while ago, but I had somebody ask me why I didn't just use the template for my original Enterprise A that I had done years ago, and the reason for that, honestly, is because I'd like to think that I've learned a lot in building in Minecraft since I did that original Constitution class, and I wanted to see if that was the case, and if I had actually gotten a little bit better as a builder. And I think for the most part, I'd say it's a big yes. There was one area that I'll admit that may not have come out quite as good as my original Constitution refit that I had done, and that was the outside area where I transitioned the shuttle bay with the sides of the pine lawn. Someone brought up to me about how I used the half slabs and it transitioned just a little bit better. But my thought process at the time was I was trying to do that area on this ship with the full blocks to see if I can do it. It ended up looking pretty good, so I just kind of left it at that, and I didn't even attempt to do it in the half slabs. Now, with that being said, that's something that we could do. It wouldn't be too hard to really do that. I mean, we would just have to make some adjustments to that whole top area, switching it out from the full blocks to half slabs, but it's definitely possible. But it's not something that's necessarily on my radar right now. I haven't really had too many people question. I've really only had, I think it was 1 or 2 people that said something about it. But I don't know if there's ever a season 2 of this build. If I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity to do that, we'll see. One of the things that I'm doing now to gauge that with you guys, I'm not going off the comments anymore. Like, as far as if people want to see a second season, I'm going off of the views and the watch hours. So those of you that want another season of Voyager, you got to watch it. Those of you that want another season of the Enterprise A 2.0, you've got to watch season 1. Otherwise, I'm just going to end up moving on to the next build. Which, to be, this isn't going to be a bad thing. This will actually be good, because this will give me a way that I can truly gauge what people are wanting to see. And I think that's a very smart way to go about it, just going off of the actual watch hours that I'm getting off of these videos, and then the overall views. So if I see that a season's doing really well and there's a justified reason to do a second season, I'll do it. But at the same time, let's say that I've done everything I can do on a ship and I'm getting like a ton of views. I'm not going to do another season just for the sake of doing it. So we'll see how things go. But man, we shot through 17 minutes like it was nothing today. But I think that's going to do it for me today. And I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in. If you'd enjoyed this content, help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. Drop a comment below. Really, the main thing that I need right now is views and watch hours. So you don't have anything going on a Saturday, or your computer's on, you're not using it, throw in one of my playlists. Help me out with that. I can't thank you guys enough for that. But if you guys have any questions regarding today's episode, just dropping by to say hey. Definitely love hearing from everybody. But I hope everybody has a happy and safe weekend, and I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Post your photos in the Discord so the community can see them.